Hi guys, my name is Michael Dieters. I'm doing the philosophical approaches to ethics. What I'm focusing on is the strawman theory. The strawman approaches to business ethics are raised by business ethics scholars primarily to demonstrate that they offer inappropriate guidelines for ethical decision making in multinational enterprise. There's four such approaches that the business ethical scholars focus on, and those are the Friedman doctrine, the cultural relativism, the righteous moralist, and the naive immoralist. The Friedman doctrine, created by Milton Friedman, a Nobel Prize economist in 1970, states that only social responsibility of business is to increase profits as long as their company stays within the rules of the law. He firmly disagrees with the idea that businesses should go through social expenditures beyond those mandated by the law and required for efficient running of a business. He confidently believes that firms should maximize their profits because it will maximize the returns to the owners of the firm, the stockholders, who then can decide what they want to do with these proceeds. It's not up to the managers of the firms to tell these stockholders where their money should be going. Friedman firmly believes that business should behave in an ethical manner and not engage in deception or fraud. There's a lot of critics that go against the Friedman doctrine because they believe that there's no rules of the game that can be established between all the countries together, because every country has their own way about running through a business. One example that I found is the child labor law, or the child labor example that shows that they in a developing nation, the child labor helps to maximize productivity, but it may not require the multinational firm to stop using child labor in that country. But it is still immoral to use child labor because it practices conflicts with the widely held views about what is right and the proper thing to do. So there's no rules that say that you can't use child labor, but it does happen in these countries that are trying to make a profit. So maximizing these profits, they must use these children to work in their warehouses. Cultural relativism is the belief that ethics are nothing more than the reflection of a culture, meaning that a firm should adopt the ethics of the culture in which it is operating. I think this is more of the quote that we all classically heard: "When in Rome, do as the Romans do." So when you go to another country, you don't really bring along with you your social norms, your business norms, what you're used to interacting with other managers and all that, but you go there picking up what how they interact with each other, and you try and put yourself into their operating systems and how they interact in different board meetings and all that. With a closer look, cultural relativism does not stand up well to critics, just like the Friedman doctrine didn't either. It rejects the idea that universal notions of morality transcend different cultures. So there's no universal law to how businesses should be run. So every culture is going to have their own different way about running a business. But there are some business practices that are found ethical in one country, but not in another. So you have to be very courteous when you go to another country about how you operate your business. The righteous moralist claims that a multinational home country standards of ethics are the appropriate ones for companies to follow in foreign countries. These are typically associated with managers of developed nations. So when one manager goes over to another country, this righteous moralist says that it's okay to bring over your standards of ethics and how you think a business should operate. But there's critics who go against this that say the proponents go too far. While some universal moral principles should not be violated, it doesn't always follow that the best thing to do is adopt a home country standards. But I think that the righteous moralist is completely wrong. When you go to another country, it's kind of rude to just kind of bring over what you think is right, what you think how business should be run. You're not going to be successful. You go over there and you kind of adopt how they run their businesses and how they have been successful in their own countries, and you kind of figure out that this is the way that the operations are run over there. And once you figure that out, you're going to be successful yourself in your own business. The naive immoralist asserts that if a manager of a multinational company sees that firms from other nations are not following ethical norms in a host nation, the manager should not either. One drug lord problem that I found in the book says that a manager went to Cuba. He paid off the drug lord to keep his employees safe and keep his plant safe from being attacked. And I think this is really interesting because it goes against all the ethics of business, but it's something that keeps them safe and their business running. The critics tear this into two observations, saying if everyone's doing it, I can do it. And they also say multinational companies can't change the practice of nations. Going into conclusion, there's four different philosophies of ethical behavior. The Friedman doctrine, maximizing profits for stockholders; cultural relativism, when in Rome, kind of do what other cultures do; righteous moralist, which is follow your home country standards, bring over what you've learned through your whole life growing up; and the naive immoralist, managers should do as they see.